Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Tuesday, the 15th of November, comes to you from London. And we've got quite a lot of new subscribers to Charts Today. I record this every morning for our clients and for anyone else who wants to watch. And we look at the big changes that have happened in the charts overnight, and sometimes the big changes that are occurring that make an impact. And I talked about European gas prices quite a lot lately. We've been bearish for several weeks, and we're just starting to change our tone because we are seeing this higher low, potentially higher high scenario. And we will be putting a report out for our enterprise clients today, giving all the trends and price targets for European gas, so for TTF front month. But the really interesting thing is now to watch for a new high. And again, the targets are going to tell us that. If we go straight to TTF, this is what we're going to be watching. This is my this is the medium term daily chart and the short term 60-minute chart. So on the medium term chart, we are still bearish below the cloud, although we're watching for a new high there. But on the short term chart, for the first time in a little while, we are now bullish above the cloud. So we're short term bullish, medium term still bearish. So that's really interesting. But of course, the short term trend is the one that changes first. And we've got these price targets. This is my daily, my 60-minute, my 1 minute. So medium term, short term, and very short term. What's going to happen today? What price we need to break today? Keep an eye on those 1 minute charts there. That's the price level we need to break today to activate that new upside target. And if we activate that upside target and we go to that price, then we start to see the potential for a higher high, and of course it's right close to resistance. So that's something we're going to be watching closely for our clients, and we'll put that report out today. And then of course we monitor, we put reports out for gas every beginning of every week on a Monday morning, and every morning we call the market. So we called it bullish today, for example. So we give the targets for the day, and so it's looking at the day, the very short term, the week, the short term, the month, the medium term, and then months, the longer term. And so resolving those trends and time frames is a really important part of the analysis. So that's what we need to watch for gas prices. We'll come back and look at the energy mix in a minute. We'll look at oil, coal, power, emissions, but let's just look at what's going on in the main markets first of all. So the big story is the dollar, and last week we pointed out that this was topping. We said that 110 was the key level. We've fallen through that 110. We could sense that was going to happen because we had the lower high, lower low, lower high, and now through 110, the lower low. Downside target some 3.6% lower on the short-term chart. Similar target on the medium-term. The long-term chart not yet giving targets. So the long-term still has very big upside targets, but this is the key. We're going to fall now before we go to new highs. And we've had a very big run on the dollar, remembering that our big call for the year was that 2022 would be the year of the dollar. We've now seen that fall, and this has a massive impact for commodity prices. That inverse relationship between commodities and the dollar is a well-known one. So falling dollar gives scope for rising commodities. So looking at the euro, we're seeing that at 104 this morning. We did touch below parity, but we're back to bullish above the cloud on the medium term. The long-term trend is breaking. We've still got some very big downside targets. Of course, the euro is a major component in the dollar index. But the reality is we're seeing that dollar weakness, euro strength returning after a very bad year for the euro. So, and then the Japanese yen, interesting. We've seen numbers out in Japan, the Japanese economy shrinking on that weaker yen. So that's had inflationary impact for Japan. But the interesting thing is the trend hasn't yet broken here in the same way as it has in the euro. So yen weakness is more of a feature against that weaker dollar. But that's the dollar falling back, but not falling back as much as it is against the euro. Sterling sitting at 118.59 against the US dollar. Starting to look more bullish on that medium-term chart, crossing through on the daily cloud. Of course, we're waiting for the fiscal statement, the budget on Thursday in the UK, and that will be interesting to just see how the market takes that in its stride. But the market is already anticipating quite a tight fiscal stance, which is why sterling is looking stronger, and we've got these targets of 119.47. So the interesting thing of the target, 119.50, 1 to 124, another one to 119. The interesting thing about the targets is if we do get a surprise to the upside that's good for sterling, don't be surprised to see the price leap to that level. Markets were looking pretty. The S&P 500 was down 1% yesterday. Futures are actually up quite strongly this morning. The Nasdaq future up over 1%. So it looks like a strong opening on the market. The FTSE future is flat. The DAX in Germany is actually down 0.25%. Had a strong day yesterday. The CAC 40, which is actually just past the UK market, the French stock market now, the biggest in Europe, is actually looking quite strong and bullish above the cloud and starting to make multi-month highs. So the DAX is actually looking pretty strong indeed. Looking at Asian markets, the Hang Seng up another 4%, so quite a big dive higher there. And the Sensex in India still looking very, very positive with that upside target activated, just waiting to activate the top upside target. But that is a strong looking stock market. The Aussie market was down very slightly. We'll look at the energy mix in a moment. We see wheat prices down 1.5%. Just pulling back there, just edging through the cloud. The long-term trend is still in train, but short-term we're just seeing weakness. Gold has been a big play. We talked about gold breaking to new highs last week and turning the corner. That trend broken. It's the reverse of the dollar, and we're starting to see upside targets there. Keep an eye on those 60-minute targets on your charts there. That's telling you where gold is going to go to. Now, looking at the energy mix, we start with Brent crude. So Brent crude is down. We were trying to nudge that $100 level, and we just couldn't get through there. So we've seen that fall away back to short-term bearish. This level really critical to hold. We've got downside targets. We've given a call on that this morning for our clients, but these new downside targets emerging is a worry for crude oil. WTI was actually much closer on that support level, and it's just sitting there at that sort of 85 level. That's a critical level, but we've got downside targets suggesting that we are now going to break that. Of course, we are still short-term bearish below the cloud. US nat gas is up 2.4% this morning. We need to break this 650 level for US gas to run higher. We are seeing a basing pattern here on the 60-minute chart, but of course on the medium-term chart we're bearish. Bearish below $5 medium-term, bullish above 7. That's the range. And if you go to the shorter term, it's really 575, 650. Those are the levels to watch. And you can put those key levels on your chart at any time so you can just see them. And that's what we need to be keeping an eye on. Now, coal has actually recovered. And we actually went out this week as bullish on coal. We felt the sell was overdone on coal. And so that was really quite key there to see that level on the coal chart. That's now a floor that coal needs to hold. Interestingly, the downside targets that were given coal, 192 and then 174, we got to 172. So that target was given back in the 200s. Very accurate indeed. Emissions, 75 is the key level for emissions. We saw how we hit resistance here on the daily chart on the cloud, just hit that level and now falling away, starting to look like we're trying for a cloud cross. We were neutral today on emissions, and now we're just seeing that change as well. TTF, we've talked about at the start. What we need to see here is targets given. That's going to be the key thing to watch. NBP is, of course, up in sympathy, up 12.5% this morning. So that's also pushing quite a lot higher as well. And we are just seeing there, that's the move above the cloud. So that's going to be quite key too. Now, last of all, looking at power markets, no secret that we've been bearish on power markets for several weeks. When German power was at 421 euros, we put a report out to clients saying 375 was the short term, 325 was the medium term, and we gave a long-term floor level. That's still below where we are, but we've gone from 421 to 300 in about 5 weeks. And so that report, again, pointing to the medium term and now the long-term targets. We're below our medium term, now looking to the long-term base. And more importantly, looking at the Cal 24 contract, we are just starting to break lower there. We're breaking those levels, and we are seeing these, no surprises, Cal 23 and Cal 24 starting to come close to each other. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. Now keep an eye on that TTF price. Watch those targets. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.